If I may, I'd like to recommend a podcast that's rather unsettling. It's called Spooked. Now, this isn't fiction. Spooked features true accounts of the supernatural, told firsthand by the people who experience them. They are quiet, deeply personal stories of things that, frankly, shouldn't happen, but did. One episode in particular caught me, Disembodied Busybodies. It tells the story of a woman named Catherine who moved into a lovely old house, only to find she's not alone. Jimmy and Joyce, the previous occupants, are still very much present, despite having died. Catherine doesn't feel afraid so much as worn down by ghosts who still think it's their home. It's beautifully told with that creeping sense of unease that sneaks up on you. New episodes arrive each Friday, and you can find Spooked on all major podcast platforms. If you've ever wondered if there's more to this world than meets the eye, give it a listen, but perhaps not just before bed. Welcome to our paranormal afterlife. This is an extra episode of Paranormal Stories. Today I'm talking about Chanai Choomalaiwong, a young Thai boy who, from age 3, recalled memories of a past life as a murdered schoolteacher. He has birthmarks matching his former wounds and detailed knowledge of a family he'd never met. The story of Chanai Choomalaiwong is widely regarded as one of the most compelling cases in the study of reincarnation. Born in 1967 in central Thailand, Chanai's early life was marked by unusual phenomena that would later attract the attention of researchers and spark debates about the nature of consciousness, memory, and personal identity. His case is often cited alongside other well-documented reincarnation claims, primarily due to the convergence of physical evidence, precise knowledge of a past life, and interactions that convincingly correspond with a deceased individual. From a very young age, Chanai exhibited behaviours that were extraordinary, even by the standards of precocious children. Around the age of 3, he began speaking spontaneously about a life he had supposedly lived before, claiming to have been a man named Bua Kai. According to Chanai, Bua Kai had worked as a schoolteacher and met a violent death while riding his bicycle to school. Chanai described the circumstances of his death with remarkable detail, claiming that he had been shot from behind and recounting the sensations and sights he experienced in those final moments. Unlike imaginative play or fictional storytelling, these statements were precise, consistent, and repeated over a long period, capturing the attention of his family. Chanai's birth was accompanied by 2 distinctive marks on his head. One, a small round mark on the back of his head, while the other was a larger, irregularly shaped mark on his forehead. What made these birthmarks extraordinary was that they corresponded almost exactly to the fatal gunshot wounds of Bua Kai. According to records and testimonies, the entry wound on the deceased teacher was small and round, located on the back of his head, and the exit wound was larger and irregular, located on the forehead. This unusual correspondence between Chanai's birthmarks and the wounds of a person he claimed to have been in a previous life offered what many researchers considered a tangible, physical link supporting the claim of reincarnation. As Chanai continued to recount details of Bua Kai's life, his family decided to investigate further. Despite the skepticism that might naturally arise, they travelled with him to the village he claimed to have once called home. Upon reaching the village, Chanai guided them confidently to a particular house. Remarkably, this house belonged to an elderly couple who confirmed that their son, Bua Kai, had indeed been murdered several years earlier. Chanai demonstrated knowledge of Bua Kai's life that he could not have reasonably known, including the names and identities of family members, the layout of their home, and specific personal belongings. The parents were initially cautious, unsure how to interpret the child's claims, but they gradually became convinced by his accuracy and insistence. The interactions between Chanai and Boakai's family were notable for their emotional and social complexity. Chanai addressed the children of Boakai as "my children" and insisted that they call him father, reflecting a deep identification with his past self. He could recognise family items that had belonged to Boakai without hesitation, even describing their use and history. His interactions were not simply performative, they carried emotional weight, as though he were genuinely recalling memories of a familial affection and responsibility. These encounters were documented by family members and researchers alike, adding layers of credibility that anecdotal reports alone could not provide. Dr. Ian Stevenson, a psychiatrist at the University of Virginia, is perhaps the most prominent Western researcher to examine reincarnation claims systematically. He and his team investigated the Chanai case thoroughly, conducting interviews with family members, neighbours, and anyone who could shed light on the life of Boakai. Dr. Stevens' methodology was meticulous. He sought to rule out ordinary explanations, such as cryptomnesia, suggestion, or inadvertent coaching from adults. He examined the birthmarks carefully, compared Chanai's knowledge with independently verified facts, and documented the psychological and behavioural patterns of the child. Stevenson concluded that Chanai's case was highly unusual and merited serious consideration as a possible instance of reincarnation. The cultural context of Chanai's experiences is also significant. In Thailand, and throughout much of Southeast Asia, reincarnation is widely accepted as part of the spiritual and religious worldview, especially within Buddhist and folk belief systems. The cultural lens does not automatically prove Chanai's claims, but it provides an interpretive framework that shapes the understanding and reception of such phenomena. Children in these cultures may be more likely to report past life memories, and families may be more willing to validate such claims, which allows researchers to gather detailed and serious accounts rather than dismissing them outright as fantasy. While the evidence for Chanai's case is compelling, alternative explanations have been proposed. Skeptics suggest that the child may have overheard conversations or observed information from adults in ways that were unconscious yet detailed. Others propose that imaginative play and fantasy proneness might produce statements that appear to be past life memories. In Chanai's situation, however, these explanations encounter difficulties. The specificity and verifiability of his claims, the accuracy of his identification of people and objects, and the precise alignment of his birthmarks with the wounds of the deceased teacher challenge conventional psychological explanations. Comparisons with other reincarnation cases provide additional perspective. Many documented instances involve young children who report vivid memories of past lives, often coinciding with the death of a person in a dramatic or unusual manner. Children in Sri Lanka, India, and Turkey have similarly reported knowledge of previous lives, including precise details about family members, homes, and circumstances of death. What distinguishes Chanai's case is the combination of verifiable details, physical evidence in the form of birthmarks, and the child's spontaneous, consistent narrative. These factors together make his story one of the strongest in the field of reincarnation research. Further insight can be gained by examining the patterns observed in such cases. Children reporting past life memories typically begin doing so around the age of 2 or 3, and these memories often fade by the age of 7 or 8. The majority of cases involve premature or violent death, which seems to correlate to the persistence of the memory. Birthmarks and physical anomalies corresponding to fatal injuries in the previous life appear in a significant subset of cases, suggesting a possible link between physical trauma and memory transfer. Chanai's experiences align closely with these patterns, strengthening the argument that his claims are not coincidental or purely fabricated. The interactions between Chanai and Boakai's family continued for several years, and each encounter reinforced the initial claim. Chanai demonstrated knowledge of household arrangements, private conversations, and the personal histories of Boakai's children that he could not have known from observation or second-hand accounts. Observers noted that his emotional responses were consistent with someone reliving genuine memories, displaying affection, concern, and attachment that seemed authentic rather than performative. These observations added another layer of depth to the case, as researchers could evaluate not only factual accuracy, but also psychological consistency and emotional authenticity. Ultimately, the reincarnation case of Chanai Choomalaiwong remains a cornerstone in the study of past life memories. It exemplifies how a combination of physical evidence, behavioural observations, and cultural context can converge to create a compelling narrative that challenges conventional explanations. While skeptics continue to debate the possibility of reincarnation, Chanai's story offers a detailed, well-documented instance that cannot be easily dismissed. It invites continued research, cross-cultural comparison, and philosophical inquiry into the nature of consciousness and identity. Today I was talking about Chanai Choomalaiwong, a young Thai boy who recalled memories of a past life as a murdered schoolteacher. My book, Verified Near-Death Experiences, is now out on Amazon, and you can get it on paperback, audiobook, or on Kindle. And if you enjoy the podcast, please leave a review and be sure to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or via your favourite podcast app to make sure that you don't miss out on any episodes. And thanks for listening.